Welcome to the VC React podcast. Every week, we bring you insights and reactions from top VCs reacting to weekly news on startups, VC funds, and investment rounds. We have a great episode for you today with a variety of types of investors, a family office, a corporate VC, and a VC firm. In today's episode, we will talk about enterprise AI for decision making, the new breed of EdTech startups, and we will learn more about how different types of investors think when making investment decisions and how they can collaborate in funding amazing companies together. Our VC guests today are Dr. Adil Zarooni, CEO at Alzarooni Emirates Investments, Faisal Hakki, Managing Director at Bank Ventures, and Mohammed Rasbi, Founder and GP at R&D Capital and Labs. In the video description, you can find more details on our guests, their LinkedIn profiles, and links to their companies' websites. Our weekly news are brought to you by FWDstart, MENA's top news aggregator that sends you MENA startup and VC news twice a week. And as always, from FWDstart, we have my co-host, Jamie. What's happening this week, Jamie?
Good morning, Ahmad. I feel like I need to address the elephant in the room first. I have indeed shaved off my beard, so I do look
to ask.
I do look entirely unrecognizable, and a bit like a 18-year-old sort of child.
I want Faisal to tell us a story about his background because I know the story behind the bowling pins behind him. So Faisal, can you tell us the story?
The bowling pins are actually a gift from Bashar Hawamdi, the guy who founded and manages MENA EdTech. It's an HRMS solution started in Jordan, operating across the GCC. And effectively what he's done is he's placed his logo at the center of the bowling ball itself, and then a play on his competitors' names on the pins. So this reads Microsoft, if you can read it. Not Microsoft, but Microsoft with the M inverted. And then I think there's an Oracle here somewhere. Yeah, Oracle says Oracle. Okay, so this is MENA EdTech knocking the pins.
Yeah, he's beating all of his competitors in the market. I love it.
It's a nice idea.
Thank you for sharing,
Right.
Faisal.
Let's kick off with what seems to be a trend, consecutive weeks where we're kicking off with all things AI. It seemed like the first couple of episodes, Ahmed, were fintech, connecting the underbanked, and now it's all AI related. So let's kick off in Saudi again. So this time it's a Saudi-based deep tech B2B AI startup. So Intelmatix, they've closed a 20 million Series A funding round. So an eclectic mix of backers as well, which is interesting. So the round was led by Shrewd Partners, included SVC, STV, Allianz Finance Company, Sultan Holdings, Zain Ventures, and Rua Growth Fund. So the company's background is super interesting as well. So it was founded in 2021 by a group of MIT graduates. It has offices in Riyadh, London, and Boston. And essentially what the company does, they focus on providing AI-powered decision-making tools tailored to the specific needs of the MENA region. So I guess their thesis is that, there's been I guess it's been pretty slow in terms of the uptake of automated decision making in the MENA region, partially due to the fact that the AI solutions aren't necessarily customized to the specific needs of the region. So they would leverage, for instance, US data sets, and require large sort of AI teams to actually implement and run. So Intelmatix, they're addressing these challenges. So they launched their AI powered enterprise platform only in March 2024, so relatively recently, and doesn't require the use of an in-house AI team. So helps with that sort of addressing that talent gap, I suppose, and the impracticality for MENA businesses. So in terms of the focus areas, currently targeting retail, logistics, and just generally the workforce. So helps businesses with issues like demand and supply forecasting, location optimization, recruitment, planning, scheduling, fleet management, marketing. So really an all-in-one solution. So with the fresh funding, they're going to be scaling up operations, and And I guess initially the focus very much seems to be on the Saudi market. I think that's evident even from the website of the company. There's definitely an emphasis on the Saudi market. So really interesting, and really interesting mix of investors as well.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. Let me start with the founders. I haven't met the founders yet, but it looks like a super team. All three co-founders went to MIT. Let's take a look at their LinkedIn profiles. This is the founder and CEO, PhD in computational engineering from MIT. I got a confusing idea here about his background because he kind of zigzagged between Saudi and Boston with King Abdulaziz City for Science and Technology and MIT. He's been in and out in those two institutions, but the whole focus was on computational engineering, AI for decision making. The second founder, the CTO, also a PhD from MIT. It seems that this guy is more working on creating the technology. He was in King Abdullah University for Science and Technology, KAUST. The third one, they have a female co-founder, is Almaha Al-Malki. She's also an MIT graduate. She's taking care of the UI, UX, she's the lead interaction and visualization for the company. So what do we think about the company and the team so far?
Well, if my co-guests allow me, I'll take a stab at this, Dr. Adil and Mohammed. When we as early stage investors look at opportunities, one of the key determinants for us to invest or not is the founder product fit. So based on the profiles, I agree. All three of them are a perfect fit to what they're attempting to build. However, I mean, there are caveats. Not necessarily because of the background and the experience does that translate into a successful business, whether it's in the AI space or any other domain. But yes, I mean, based on those profiles, I would absolutely, merit a deeper look into Intelmatix if I was looking at it as an investor.
So the fact that they were at MIT and the exposure that I get there is tremendous. So I was there in April. They had some events, so I attended an event at MIT, and they took us on a tour, and they just took us on a tour to the CSAIL, the Computer Science and AI laboratories, and just the amount of stuff that they actually do there is this exposure itself is enough for any founder to be able to basically look at what potentially can be done. And they were obviously boasting about MIT, but the stuff that they actually do is sometimes like 20, 30 years before it gets commercialized. So that part of the MIT part actually gives them access. But again, as Faisal said, that doesn't mean they have access. That means they're going to be able to do something with it. But then that in itself actually allows them to do more. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's so MIT, plus a good founding team, plus the access and the experience and the fact they're show them and have their PhD done at MIT. I think that's a very good mix as a team. And hopefully they'll end up with something. And that also the fact they raised $20 million, a Series A, that also adds parts to it. And the fact that one of them was part of KAUST, so that's another, like there's a few boxes that, let's say unfair advantage that they have of having access to information that others might not have.
Just in terms of that link with KAUST, I believe it was actually the CEO of this company who established a partnership between KAUST and MIT, to the best of my knowledge.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
So I believe he's actually the instigator of that link, dating back to that time.
Awesome. Yeah. And they've been working with this company for more than 3 years now. And I think I read somewhere that they have a pilot for 1 year with a big company in Saudi. So they've been trying to work on this and solve the problem. And it seems they have some results, hence the $20 million Series A. And what I really like about this company is like it's kind of building the brains of your business as a whole. And the article says decision making is highly connected. You can't make a decision in marketing that's going to increase the demand on your stores without connecting that immediately to your inventory to understand what's going on and what's going to happen there. Same thing with your staffing, operations, etc. So decisions are highly integrated. This is what they're focusing on. How important is this product to medium and large corporations in MENA?
Yeah, I think, Ahmad, the answer is in the question itself. It is absolutely important, and not just for enterprises, SMEs. I think for any sort of business, the ability to connect your I want to say, distant, incoherent data sets, whether it's a coffee shop or a big bank, makes a lot of sense and ultimately will give you an advantage. So yes, I mean, the obvious answer, it is absolutely important. I can't tell from the news clip that I read, both from the link that you sent and doing some research on my own, if Intelmatix has actually built their own LLM. Now, I say this again, not to sort of discredit them, but the majority of these similar types of businesses are what is referred to as AI wrappers. So these are, think of them as an API or a microservice that is wrapped around an AI engine built by someone else. And then I want to say the magic of what they've built is the prompt engineering on the front end. So they tend to ask the right questions in the right context to give you the right results.
Faisal, they're saying that they're listing one of their competitors is Palantir, the biggest data company in the US.
Right.
So, in decision making, I mean.
Again, it doesn't say if they have their own AI engine. Palantir does, and I'm not sure if Intelmatix does. But again, maybe they do. In case they don't, I'm not, again, demeriting, discrediting, or discounting the value of these businesses. There is a lot of value in them. My only sort of concern is that this could be transitional, meaning that because the AI space is so novel and new, this is still in flux. So, I mean, this hasn't sort of plateaued in terms of maturity as a business model. It might change in the future, favorably, maybe unfavorably, for Intelmatix and the likes of them. But ultimately, if it is an AI wrapper, this means that the IP element of it is something, at least for me, that can be mimicked or, it can be replicated. Because if they haven't built their own LLM or AI engine, what they probably have built is a very elaborate and functioning wrapper, API, call it whatever you want, microservice layer that sits on top of it, and again, asks the right questions in the right context to give you the right answers.
Dr. Adil, what do you think about the company in general, the deal, the business model?
Even if they don't have their own AI engine, I would assume that their claim, I don't know much of the company, but if their claim is predominantly to do with the fact that a lot of their data is in Arabic, and connecting Arabic data and making sense out of it to enhance productivity and efficiency. And in this context, we are assuming substantial multiples of efficiency in a business. If this is their claim and they found a foot in, and with that construct of a team and these links with agencies that are there when it comes to where the technology is, then yes, the thesis would sound really good. This is the way I would take it. Now, if they are capable of connecting the market, providing services or products, interfacing with customers physically and digitally, and connecting all of that to a backend inclusive of logistics and distribution and customer care and all of that. And if they are able to make sense out of all of that connected, reduce cost, enhance efficiency, enhance quality, if this is their claim, encompassing Arabic, then that wouldn't sound as a bad idea. Now, $20 million Series A, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of these rounds. I think many times they make the mistake of taking too much money too early. And I've seen so many of them. They die so fast and they become a horrible thing for the industry moving forward, especially in industries where the terminology is not yet defined quite well. I mean, today we understand the purpose of AI in the sense that we want, AI is meant to be hopefully what mobile and the internet has done to humanity in enhancing its efficiency multiples, and AI is meant to do that hundreds of times. That's the main idea. But today it's a catchword. Everybody jumps on it and puts AI onto something, and they claim that it's now magic. So I don't know. If you ask me as Adil, is this a good team from a profile point of view? It sounds okay. Do they have the expertise and the connections? They tick some good boxes there. Is the thesis when it comes to catering for Arabic as assuming that is the thesis. Arabic has to be the edge when it comes to enhancing efficiency within the context of Saudi Arabia and some other countries that have Arabic as their dominant business language. I say, yeah, fine. Saudi, Egypt, parts of the Levant, some parts of North Africa. Say, yeah, fine. Would I would I be happy to give them $20 million Series A? No, not me.
Yeah. But you bring a really good point. Training the models on data from the MENA region, on Arabic data, on local companies, regional companies. That data is not available in the US. And actually, they focused on this point in their story. Ahmad, what do you think?
So let's address the $20 million value, raise that they Series A. So in Oman, I don't know if you've heard we recently one of our startups raised $37 million Series A. So that adds. But obviously that's for us. It's something we, as you said, it can be good, can be bad. Hopefully it'll be good for them and not bad. Again, to the point of how much they raise. To Dr. Adil's point, is sometimes they raise too much. Too fast, and they burn the money, and then they don't reach milestones to be able to match their next funding requirement. Now, with regards to what they're trying to offer, so the fact that they're building their own LLM or not, me personally, it's not that I don't care about it, but the point is kind of validating that part of the unique value proposition is more important than building the LLM. Eventually, it'll be good. But then again, the fact they're raising $20 million, then the question is, does it make sense that they don't have their own LLM? So it's kind of, but then again, would that be enough or not enough with their own LLM? It gets complicated very quickly. But for me, it's like this kind of the unique value proposition. And then the Arabic part is very important. One of our startups that we invested in, they've been at it for a while, and it's not easy given the different dialects we have in every country. Like in Oman itself, I don't know how many dialects we have, and even languages in Oman, that different languages, not just Arabic dialects. So that in itself is a challenge. So, but if they're able to crack that, I think they will be able to bring something to the region. And as most small startups, SMEs, they face challenges of actually managing their own resources, and most of the time they make mistakes without realize what they have in inventory, for example, and promote something and they realize actually they shot themselves in the foot when they should have promoted something else. So there's a need for that. The Arabic part is, I think the Arabic part will take a while to be solved. It's not going to be easy. And because of the dialects, and because we have a very young population, and the fact that there's so many, and it gets over time. So words I used 20, 30 years ago are no longer being used now. And then you have Arabic speaking, let's say, in different countries outside the region itself. So it's another opportunity that they can actually leverage as well. So I think $20 million could be on the high side if it's not. I'm assuming it's been validated. I know that, just to clarify, I know there's a problem with entities trying to deploy money, so that's also another challenge. So then maybe they look at some of these deals, and so they need to deploy money because they need to show that they've deployed money. And
I hope that's not the case. I hope it's just because the companies are good.
But at times you might kind of kick it down the road, kind of. So maybe that's I'm not saying with this startup, but sometimes they're hoping that, okay, this looks good. Okay, maybe they should be raising 10 instead of 20, but hopefully they can, okay, let's help them raise a bit more. I actually had a discussion with one of our startups at the moment. It's like, so they're trying to raise money. It's like, okay, how long will this give you a runway? It's like 24 months. Like, okay, yes, that'd be good, but then again, you're kind of giving up a lot of your equity at this stage. It's like, yeah, but at the moment it's kind of easier for us to raise money. Okay, so it's a chicken and egg. So should we raise more money now, or should we wait later when we've kind of validated? But then we might not be in a position to be able to raise the amount that we wanted to raise today. It gets complicated. And so I give them the analogy: are you in the racetrack? Are you racing enough Formula One or a go-kart? Because also that makes a difference as well. So so these things make a difference. So how much they raise, and do they have enough to be able to actually validate that? And one thing I just read recently, the respect of capital, for some reason, does not exist with a lot of founders. They think of it as something that it's kind of a right, not a privilege. And so the fact, the moment they get their money, they think it's theirs, they own it, and they don't need to return it. So it's kind of like, here's some money, we hope you return it. But the fact a lot of founders don't look at it as capital, that it's a responsibility. They actually have to return it in the future. Look at it from that point of view. And I think that also kind of dictates sometimes how much they raise. So because let's نحوش, and let's try to collect as much as we can at the moment. So,
yeah, that's a dilemma, especially in when markets are going through ups and downs. Should I take as much money as I can when I can take it, or should I be reasonable? How much to raise? How much should I? It's like, yeah, it's a big dilemma. Before I move to the next story, I want to ask about the structure of the deal. We have the Series A round was led by Shuruk Partners with participation from a lot of other entities like Layan financing company, that's the family office, Ru'a Growth Fund, VC Firm, STV, VC Firm, SVC, that's a government-led LP and direct investor, Sultan Holding, again, this is a family office, and then Zain Ventures, that's a corporate VC fund. It's amazing to see all these types of investors collaborating together and funding one deep tech company. And the weird thing is it's deep tech. It's not e-commerce or anything else that we're used to, or fintech. We're used to in the Middle East region, but a deep tech company. So how do different types of investors think about investing in such a company?
Yeah, listen, I'm gonna answer recklessly and say there is an element of FOMO that connects all of these investors together. So, I mean, yes, it doesn't really make sense that you have such a broad spectrum of, differently incentivized GPs, LP, and fund managers coming in on the same deal. Typically, there would be a theme around the types of investors that you'd collect. Again, this is a reckless answer. And the reason I say this is because, again, I don't know what the numbers are Intelmatix are, but we've recently come across a similar business that actually has its own LLM for certain, San Francisco based, that did a $30 million Series A, pre-revenue, pre-product, okay, at a very high valuation. So that is a telltale sign that there is, like I said, a factor of FOMO between these investors, where the belief is if you come in early and you get in at the ground floor, the upside is limitless. Now on that, we were at a Goldman Sachs event in April this year, where the CEO of Goldman Sachs himself, Jamie Dimon, said that had the timing of the rise of AI coincided with the proper commercialization of quantum computing, then these valuations, these companies, these investments would have really been, game-changing and earth-shattering. The challenge is that AI is sort of 10 years ahead of where quantum computing needs to be, and hence the effect of it hasn't reached its full potential yet. And again, this is Goldman Sachs, the guys who make money on advising people on raising more funds and doing bigger rounds. And he was being cautious in saying that, yes, there is a bit of hype around these businesses. So to answer your question, sorry for the long answer, Ahmed, I think what connects all of these investors, I don't want to call it, again, the fear of missing out on the deal, but it is the promise of the upside of coming in early. And for them, again, for most investors, the money you put in and the valuation you end up paying is really negligible versus what the upside could potentially be.
Okay, makes sense. Dr. Adil, do you think it's the promise of the upside, or the team, or something else we're not thinking about?
I think it could be one and a couple of other versions. One, I would assume there is a sovereign fund there. Well, PIF is there, and I would assume that the potential main contracts would be government contracts. So if PIF is there,
so that's a strategic added value that PIF and SVC can bring them more customers.
And PIF and the government if they put in their money in it, they will back it up, and they'll probably even twist arms to make sure this thing works. And that's a substantial advantage. And then the rest of the money, I mean, the rest of families are highly linked to the government. So that could be a main reason, for that kind of money to come in so early, with these kind of names coming so early. And another could be a really good fundraiser that tells the story in a very nice way. Is this for the mass? No.
Okay.
These are the companies that will make it happen if it would ever happen. So those are the big conglomerates that they'll give them the projects. The question then becomes, can they? Is the technology yet there? Will they do it or not? And these are $20 million for these guys is nothing. So it won't pain them. Would I put money? Not that big. No.
Yeah, maybe you will come in later on when there's revenues.
Yeah.
And,
once they have the projects up and
customers.
running, proven themselves, actually, made, shown efficiency in what they do, and yeah. But is that necessary money going into AI now in the region? I would say yes. Would that guarantee success? Not really sure. But however, it will take the sphere to the next step. And many at times, this is what you need. It does, strategically and at a higher level. And this is what PIF and SBC does and friends. At times, they need to spend the money regardless of what the returns are, because they want to be there when the technology is ready, or when processing power is ready, when the use cases are there. They want to be up there, having understood the technology and the potential behind it. And probably the second mouse will eat the cheese, which hopefully could be some of us.
Yeah, we've seen this multiple times in the market, where the first player, although it's good to be the first player in the market, but sometimes you take all the risk and then you prove the business model, and then the second or third one would actually take the benefits of all this new technology.
Yeah.
Ahmad,
So today in this sphere, I put small money in many companies, knowing that 9 out of 10 will fail. And this is for me I won't say 10 to 12 year run. Maybe for AI, I think it's more 5 to 7 years run. Yeah. That's and spray and pray, like pray hard, but not as hard as metaverse and crypto. I think this is more real than both of them.
Mohammed, what do you think?
So I do agree with both with Faisal and Dr. Adil. So spray and pray, but Dr. Adil, the point about spray and praying, that I don't think there's enough deals in the region, especially in the deep tech space. Hopefully, again, when as Faisal was saying, hopefully you do have something that's deep. It's not just a wrapper. So hopefully there's some level of deep tech involved. Given the fact that the founders are, they have PhDs in the space, hopefully that plus the story, plus the fact that the strategic decisions being made to be able to invest in these. So at the early stage, there is a shortage of decent startups. So there's no question about that. And then there's money that people need to deploy. So the FOMO part comes into play. So deep tech, FOMO plus strategic plus decent founders. I think maybe that's the reason they put in that money. And they'll make it succeed. And I think I won't be surprised that they're part of the the initiative of the I think 30 startups to be unicorns by 2030 or something like that. I think that's all Arabia has. I think it's not. Is it a good bet or a bad bet? I don't think that's the question right now. The question is, will they keep on supporting it? And I think the likelihood is very high. And given the unfair access that they actually have to be able to raise from SVC and the different STV, and then as Faisal was saying, this is it's a wide. I don't know, like it's going to a food court and you have McDonald's, and then you have like a 5 Michelin star restaurant 3-star, 4-star. I don't know how long it goes to Michelin star, but anyhow, they're next to each other. It doesn't make sense. So I think that's the. But I won't be surprised the way it works is that the lower, the earlier investors basically sold a nice story to the stage investors to be able to come into the round, so they do follow-ons and exercise pro rata rights. So I think that's the case. But I think overall, there isn't enough deep tech. We've been doing this since 2017. Most of the startups we invested in is like tech or tech enabled, and most of it's tech enabled more than tech. So the fact is there is some deep tech, and kind of like a lot of investors from the other reasons that keep on asking, do you have any deep tech startups? And we don't have enough. So I think that's.
And I like that we're investing now in PhD graduates. Usually we had this idea that academia cannot bring us entrepreneurs or true founders. But with this deep tech, you need these expertise. You need people who have maybe PhDs in their field. And this takes me to the next story for today, Jamie. EdTech. What's happening in EdTech today?
Yeah, I feel like a reporter on the ground for this one, because after a number of weeks, we finally have an Ireland connection, which is great.
Okay.
So yeah, the Educatly, they're Dublin headquartered, but Cairo-based EdTech startup. So they've secured a new funding round, 2.5 million. So this was led by TL Com Capital and Plus VC, with participation as well from Egypt Venture and the HBAN Syndicate, which is based in County Cork in Ireland, which is right next door to myself at the moment. In terms of about Educatly, so they're founded back in 2020 by Mohammed El Sanbati and John Manuel. They actually met, I believe, working in LinkedIn in Dublin. And the other co-founder then is Abdelrahman Ayman. So they've developed a student recruitment platform that leverages AI and LLMs in some respects to offer students detailed information on higher education institutions across the globe, including programs, scholarships, etc. The only allusion that I could actually find to AI on the landing page, which you're scrolling through there, Ahmed, was actually the chatbot. I'd like to think that that's not the only AI integration and that it's actually functioning in the background. In terms of,
I have a few more details on this. I'll let you finish.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, in terms of the operations, they're operating in Egypt, Nigeria, Kenya, Saudi, UAE, Ireland, so pretty widespread geographically. They have more than 1,000 universities across 90 countries on the platform, 130,000 programs, so super comprehensive. And I think they've reached already 3 million students. Hopes to scale that to 7 million by the end of 2024. Interestingly as well, Educatly is the second Egypt EdTech with an Irish connection in recent months. So iSchool, they're another Egyptian EdTech. They also shifted their HQ to Ireland after raising $4.5 million at the end of
What
December.
are you offering them in Ireland? What are you
doing?
I don't
know. Hey, look, I have no idea. I don't know. It's a strange one. I thought that immediately when I came across it. I was like, wow, that's a strange that it's specifically the EdTech sphere as well. But yeah, look, I'm keen to hear what additional insights you have here, Ahmad.
Well, my understanding is, I might be mistaken, but my understanding is Educately started simple, maybe as a directory of universities, then they kept adding more and more to their platform, where students can even apply to universities through the platform. And now what they're trying to do is adding AI to enable students to make well-informed decisions or choices about their educational futures or professional careers later on. So with that understanding, I feel EdTech is evolving now. I feel EdTech has been neglected for a while in MENA, but now with AI being utilized in the design of the product and enhancing their existing products, I'm seeing more new EdTech startups. And I even know some people who are starting an EdTech focused fund for MENA region. And I've seen multiple companies, like, for example, there's a company called Kawkab AI. And what they're doing is beautiful. It's like it's an AI native school. They're building a whole new educational system for the AI generation. It's a school, a full-fledged school, but it's utilizing AI in every aspect of the company. So anyway, question to the guests: what trends are you seeing for EdTech funds or EdTech startups? What trends are you seeing? What trends are emerging in our region?
I'll disclaim my knowledge by saying that I absolutely have no idea or proper understanding, at least, of the EdTech space. I am, however, a father of 2 children who attend school, so and they're in their final years, so I am becoming more involved. I also sit actually on the board of the school where they attend, and we've recently commissioned a revamp of the school's campus. And one of the key things that we discussed was that how do you future-proof the money we're about to spend for what school education will look like in the coming 10 years? Because, you're building a facility that has a lifespan of maybe up to 20 years. How do you ensure when you design it today and build it that in 10 years' time, it'll still be relevant? And one of the key things we discussed is that most likely, classroom-based teaching will not remain as it is today in the coming 10 years. So I absolutely love what these guys are doing. I think using AI to predict what, area of academia, fresh students to study, where they should focus, what skills should they adopt, that makes a lot of sense to use AI as a tool to tell you, because if you think about it, the biggest threat to that education is AI itself. So if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. So I absolutely love what they've built. I would invest in it if I were an EdTech focused fund. It makes perfect sense.
Now, this is my forte. I established a school in Dubai a couple of years ago called Citizens, which focuses on entrepreneurship and quality of life. I also have a chunk of a sizable university in Egypt focused predominantly on medical students, but also entertains business schools with a capacity of soon enough around 24,000 students. It's now listed. So I see a lot of tech. At tech, I'm all about trying to grow a generation that is trained with the lifestyle of an entrepreneur. So being exposed to all of these technologies, future technologies, and being able to handle venture building. The school has a venture studio in it. It produces companies in the sphere using students and faculty as well as parents. Either way.
What are the ages we're talking about?
So I currently have up to starting September up to year 8. I start with them from nursery. And the entrepreneurship curriculum, which we have developed in-house, starts from age 4.
Wow.
And the idea is that by year 8, we hope to start involving students into the venture studio, which is meant to train them on multi-venturing. So, being in this sphere of entrepreneurship for the last 2 decades, you realize multi-venturing and multi-skilling is what we need to achieve. And I think a lot of the struggle humanity, and more specifically this region, faces is that we don't train them for the lifestyle of entrepreneurship as teams. What we produce is individual employees that don't make mistakes, which is hard in entrepreneurship. So this is why stress is the mother of diseases for this century. Now, I don't want to get into the philosophy of education. Going back to EdTech, there are a lot of EdTech companies around, and they are with great ideas. And this idea specifically, the one you highlighted, I've seen many of them. So these are marketplaces, because recruitment is a huge thing when it comes to schools and universities. And marketplaces that promote schools and universities are not new. Probably what they are trying to do, and let's be very careful with the use of AI, because now it's the cosmetic you put on any company. Just give it an AI lipstick, and now somehow magically is worth more money. But
Double or
is it,
triple the valuation.
so if they come to me and say, look, we are this marketplace and we use AI, I'll just discount the AI element. I'll look at it as a marketplace.
Yeah.
Does it do the job? How many students how many students did you onboard into schools and universities? Have they made money? And if the answer is yes, voila, that's it. The end result is, have they made money as schools and universities? That's their business. And there are a few of them, and some are better than the other. They look better. They have a better, customer experience journey. A university, school. So both from demand and supply, they produce good experiences. They do the right job when it comes to exposure. They spend the right money when it comes to performance marketing. And if they do a good job, whether they use AI or not, it doesn't matter really. AI is about efficiency. So if they do what they do right and more efficient, regardless where that efficiency came from, then voila, we have a better company to invest in. That's my opinion.
Yeah, Mohammed, what do you think?
As Faisal and Dr. Adil was saying, there's a lot of EdTech space or startups. But to Jamie's point, why Ireland? Because it's nice. That's why.
Okay.
It's
foggy.
They have good sovereign. They have good sovereign support programs. I see that in Ireland. They have some really nice programs, and with minimum stress on startups. I also see that in some Eastern European countries now. Some of them are doing a good job in that sphere. Yeah.
So a quick detour here. Where is the tech hub in Europe now? I heard it was Berlin, but somehow Lisbon is Portugal is taking the lights out of Berlin, and then it seems maybe Dublin now. I don't know.
It's
Where's
Dublin.
the tech hub?
It's Dublin, Ahmad.
Dublin.
It's Dublin.
Dublin has been on the scene for a while. Huh?
Yeah,
it has. Yeah, no, look, I mean, there's so many regional HQs.
Many people don't know that the first ever economic zone, free zone, that has existed was in Ireland.
Wow.
They invented the concept of free zones and economic zones. I have a book on the subject, and I'm telling you, I'm an expert in the field.
We'll link the book in the description.
Yes, please. Okay, let's go back to you, Mohammed.
So I've been to Dublin many times and to Cork as well. In our earlier years when we were at a Monte Carlo fund, we were working with an Irish entity to help in running the accession programs at OTF before we took over completely. But so we would take our teams to Ireland. We would go to where is it? I'm trying to remember the name. I forgot the name of the place behind what's called the Guinness factory.
That's the only thing you remember.
So directly behind is the place. I forget that anyhow. But anyway, so
it's not Dog Patch Labs. No, not there.
But it wasn't that. But it was somewhere close by. But at the end of the day, the talent. So that's the point that Dr. I was saying, that the free zones, a lot of entities set up places there. So I mean, there's a bit of work that gets done. So they have a lot of talent pool that happens there. Meetups, you can go to meetups in Dublin that are very, not a very high quality compared, like from a technical point of view, compared to say some of the stuff you see in Silicon Valley. So you do get a decent without having to travel all the way to the US for that. So I think that's the reason for Ireland and Dublin. So I think that's why. And personally, they've been teachers of mine for many years in the past when I lived in Rome. So that kind of that part. So the Irish angle. But as far as going back to the tech space. There's a lot that work in the space, and I think one of the biggest challenge to the point that I was saying that a lot of them they're very bad at selling what they're trying to do. So they might have the technology, they might have everything, and I think they come from let's say an academic background or purely technical background, but they're very bad at selling it. So and the reason I'm saying it because I have a few of my startups that are in the EdTech space. And I kept telling him, you're selling it the wrong way. You keep on selling it the wrong way. It's like, yeah, but we need to grow. It's like, okay, are you generating revenue? What will generate revenue in the future? But it's like, you need to generate money now. Otherwise, you're not going to survive. And it's always not selling it. I think that's one of the biggest challenges within the tech space. And maybe the AI part can help and kind of progress.
I'll give you an analogy that I always use, Mohammed. I say, look, I mean, if you want to study medicine, who would be teaching you? Probably a medical doctor, yeah? If you want to be studying like engineering, say, architecture, who would be teaching you? It would be an architect. But why isn't it that if you want to study business, the one that will be teaching you is not a businessman or a woman? Isn't that sad? It's a shocking reality, yeah? So you want to teach entrepreneurship by whom? Who's teaching entrepreneurship? They are not entrepreneurs. You understand me? So this is the dilemma of the education system. And that's why, if they are really good academics, they're not really good businessmen, and vice versa. So, try to convince an entrepreneur to come and teach in a school or a university. It's hard. That's the dilemma of the education system, yeah.
But just on the subject of Ireland before we move on, just I can't resist to get a kick in to the UK, because I think a large incentive for a lot of companies or startups, basing in Ireland now is Brexit. I mean, it's the sort of the biggest own goal. We've seen multiple large multinational corporations, from Stripe, JP Morgan, Coinbase, have all relocated their HQs from London to Dublin. That was the case anyway. Look, we have tons of, whether it be Meta, X, Apple, etc., Google, are all HQ'd in Dublin. But in terms of access to the EU, if you want to scale into the EU, I mean, the only English-speaking country now in the EU is Ireland, or Malta, peculiarly enough. But I don't think Malta is quite.
Malta speak Arabic, buddy. That's their second language.
Yeah, it is almost Arabic.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
there you go.
It's 98% Arabic.
Jamie, you'd be interested to know that my brother actually has done that. He's set up a business near Cork in, I think it's called Tipperary.
Yeah, next door to me at the moment.
If I'm pronouncing it correctly, not doing tech, he's doing something very traditional to that part of Ireland. So he has a halloumi cheese factory.
No way.
In Dublin. Wow. Well, we'll end on that note. Thank you so much, Dr. Ali, Zarooni, Faisal, Hakki, Mohammed, Rasbi. Thank you so much. And Jamie, thanks. And I hope to see you again in another episode soon.